Hi, I'm Dave Henning with the Fresh Start Podcast, fresh ideas for business and personal growth. And today, my guest is Kay Suthar from London, UK. She's actually from Indonesia, but we won't tell anybody right this second. Kay has made it her life goal. I'm really impressed with your bio here to empower individuals, entrepreneurs, groups, and businesses in order to maximize your potential, expedite your success by assisting in achieving their goals and performance, et cetera, et cetera. But here's what I want to talk about. You got a letter from the Queen of England. Oh my gosh. That your book has been specially selected to be placed in the private royal library. I love the Queen. She's so amazing, I think.
She is. And, us Brits, we love the royal family. We follow them, So getting that letter from the Queen herself, I was shocked. And in fact, when I got that letter, I thought it was a prank, right? I was like, no way. Like, someone's having me on here. Until I kind of really scrutinized the paper and the ink and everything, and the paper was actually embossed with the royal logo on there, and I was like, okay, this looks pretty legit, like this is crazy. But I mean, it's funny because a lot of people out there, they're the number one bestseller, right? She's got my book in a private royal library. However, this is that one thing that makes me unique and different compared to everybody else in the world. I don't know how many other people have got their book in the private royal library, right? And so, and me, being a Brit, born and bred in the UK, like that is my symbol. That is my logo. Like, yeah, having the book in the Queen's private royal library was amazing.
That's so outstanding. What? One of the big things that impresses me was as a young lady during the big war, she actually was a mechanic. The fact that she is one of us, so to speak, is just so amazing. Her history, how she's handled things, and of course, she recently lost her husband, but she's still there. What a great example of someone, I think, don't you?
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, she got the crown at a very young age, very, very young age, right? And that's all she's known to be, a queen.
Right.
And so how she's handled things and the things that she's seen and how things have changed and, being able to change with the time as well. And I mean, yeah, she's an incredible person.
And then also, you have an award from Toronto, the Authority and Inspirational Journey Success book launch in Toronto. Tell me a little bit about that.
So, well, first of all, when I decided to write my book, I always knew I wanted to write a book. I was like, right, I'm gonna make this happen. I locked myself up in my room, and in 30 days, I wrote my entire book, right? And so, what happened? I actually had a coach to help me go through this and publish and all this kind of stuff, and he helped me with my launch. Now, because I'm a big fan of The Secret with Bob Proctor, Dr. DeMartini, and the list goes on. He said to me, why don't you have your book launch in Canada, Toronto? I was like, but I'm in the UK. Why would I want to have it over there? And he goes, if you have it there, I can guarantee I can get you Bob Proctor, Dr. DeMartini to actually attend your book launch in Toronto. And I'm like, what? He was like, yeah. He goes, so do you want to do it? I'm like, hell yeah, let's make it happen. Right. And so that's how that happened. And so it kind of all intermingled and it worked out exactly the way I wanted to. So, and they were the two that actually presented me with my award. So that was amazing.
Wow, that is amazing. Bob Proctor, how cool is that? And then from
Right.
there, you were interviewed in New York City. You featured on a variety of television channels. From there, now you have a charity that you've launched in Indonesia. Let's talk about that for a minute.
Right. So it's not a charity that I've launched, but it's a charity I was working with, right, called
Oh,
Bali Rise.
yeah.
And so it was these incredible young women who you probably know, in places like Bali, all they've been taught to do is basically become a wife, have kids, cook, clean, and that's it. But what this charity does, it actually empowers them where they can actually, gain the skills that they need to in order to monetize, right? To make money. how they can do that, and also using environmental friendly products, how to recycle. And so I decided to partner up with Barley Wise, and I was like, okay, I want to teach these young women about business, very basic business, right? And so how they can monetize everything they've learned, the skills that they have, and make the money that they need in order for them and their families to survive. And so it was challenging because English is not their first language, right? And so there was a lot of pictures, a lot of gestures, a lot of having to get up and action rather than theory to make them understand. So a lot of them knew how to juice fruit, and you get loads of exotic fruits over there. How about get in a car and start selling juice? Right? It's a hot country. People are constantly walking around traveling. They're going to get hot. They're going to get thirsty. Let's do that. There was one person, one young lady who was very talented and can create anything out of anything. So there was scraps of material, and she decided that, no, we're not going to throw that away. And she decided to, tie them up. Didn't need a needle, didn't need to sew anything, all done by hand, and made dog mats. And
Wow.
like everybody and anybody in Bali has dogs.
Wow. I did not know that.
Yeah. So I was like, well, let's monetize that.
Right.
And so showing them these little things that they never even thought of doing, and it just, came natural to them, but they didn't know how to make money off of it. I was like, well, let me show you how to do that. And that's what I did. And so that was amazing. And then I also, by accident, created an English school, right, in Bali, which wasn't my intention at all. And what happened, I was speaking to my landlady, and she was only able to afford one of her kids to go to English classes, which was her oldest son. And her youngest daughter kept nagging at her, I want to go, I want to learn English. That's not fair, right? So I said to her, listen, why don't you just bring her down to my villa, an hour a day? I'll be happy to, teach her English. So did that. But by the time I knew it, this little girl told everyone. She told her neighbors, she told her friends, she told her cousins, she told everyone that she's learning English, right? And I'm the one teaching her. So all of a sudden, where I had one person, I ended up having 12 people in my class teaching them all English, which was amazing, right? So, just want these little things that mean so much to people, and it's so doable. Why not go ahead and just kind of serve the community?
Right. Exactly. That's outstanding. Wow. I'm so proud of you for all that you've accomplished. And as we mentioned, we did some years ago set up a similar women's co-op along with our schools in Southwest Kenya, the Kilgoris Project.org, that I've been blessed to be helped out a little bit here and there. You have a little bit of a background with Kenya as well. You want to mention that?
Yes, so my mom is actually from Kenya. She was born in Kenya, Mombasa. To be fair, I haven't been to Kenya since I was 5 years old. It's been a number of years now. But what I do remember from back then is that I got chased by a lot of different animals, right? Like when I was there, I just remember constantly running for my life, right? So whether it was, a dog or a lizard or a wild pig, or like it was, I laugh at it now, but at the time, it wasn't funny. I was literally running for my life.
Oh, of course. Oh, I totally get that. Wow.
I definitely have to go back there soon, whenever the pandemic is over and everyone can get on flights.
That would be wonderful. I hear you with that. Now, you also, did I see that you had some maybe some health issues when you were younger? Am I mistaken? No?
Yes. So before I joined the entrepreneurial journey, I was actually a police officer in London, UK, for 6.5 years. And it's funny how things work out. Now, a lot of people, when bad things happen, they think that the world is against them, people are against them, they don't know why things are happening to them. And at that point, you don't know why. But I believe that everything that's happened is redirected me in the path that I need to be on. Right. And so when I was a police officer, I remember going to sleep one night, perfectly fine. Woke up the next morning, jumped in a shower. As soon as the hot water, dropped on my body, it started burning. And so I jumped out, went in front of the mirror and found out what was going on, and found out my entire body came out in a rash.
Wow.
So I went to the hospital, got tested, found out what is going on. And I remember sitting in the doctor's consultation room, waiting for my results. And as I sat there and he walked in, he literally opened the door, had one foot in the room, and he goes, "You were lucky to get here when you did." So I was like,
Really?
"What do you mean? What's going on? Like, what's happening?" And he goes, "If you didn't get here when you did, your throat would have closed up."
Really?
And so at that point, I was like, holy crap, what if my throat closed up while I was asleep? I'll never see the next day.
Right.
And so I asked him, how did this happen? What's going on? How can I prevent this from happening? And he's like, well, this form of rash is very common when the body is overly stressed.
Oh.
Yes. So, people do say stress is a silent killer. And so basically I decided I got to quit my job because clearly this wasn't working out for me. This was not the path that I should be on. And so I decided to just quit my job. And I was like, I have no plan. I don't know. I didn't have a plan B. I wasn't expecting this to happen. And so I was like, okay, I've got to figure it out. I've got enough money in the bank to survive for 6 months. That's enough time for me to figure it out. And so I quit my job and kind of jumped in different roles after that. So most of my 20s, I jumped from job to job to job to job to job. I had no idea what it was that I wanted to do. I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up, right?
Right.
And so when people asked me when I was younger, what do you want to be when you grow up? I turned around and said to them, I want to be rich, right?
Good answer.
Right. How I want to do that, when that's going to happen, I had no idea. And so this is where I kind of was like, wouldn't it be great if I was my own boss? And then started looking into, what does it mean to be an entrepreneur? What does it mean to be a business owner? What does business actually mean? And so after I joined the police force and I left, I keep saying accidentally because it was not my plan. It's just something that just happened. And I was like, well, I'm not doing anything right now. Let's just roll with it. And so I got an opportunity to join politics. Now, I did see in your notes that politics is not something that you want to be having a conversation on. But what actually happened was I joined politics, Liberal Democrat, during the elections as a campaign manager. And it was funny because the minute I quit my job as a police officer, all these different doors of opportunity started opening up. And I was like, holy crap, why didn't someone just tell me I needed to quit my job? I would have done it years ago, right?
Yeah.
And so to cut the long story short, in politics, I realized there was more criminals in politics than there ever are in prisons, right?
Wow. What a shocker. What a surprise.
Right. And so I was like, if I didn't survive, being a police officer, there's no way I'm going to survive politics. So that was that. And then I got another opportunity asking me to join this company. And it's an international company, a US company, but they were international. Mm-hmm. And they were like, we are starting our live events department, and we would like you to be the first person we bring on board to help us, expand. And I'm like, okay, that sounds good. I was thinking of kind of going down the events way, and I didn't have no qualifications, no experience, but I thought, event sounds like a good environment to be in. It's always positive, it's upbeat, it's completely different to being a police officer, right? Where you're surrounded by negativity constantly. And I was like, okay, I'll give this a go, and basically just learn on the job. And I remember this ringing me up, and they're saying to me, what are you doing in 2 days? I'm like, I don't know. I don't have anything planned. And they're like, great, you need to pack your bags and be at the airport because you have to be in Malaysia in 2 days. And that was my first event.
Wow.
And then Yes. And then I was like, okay. I was like, what about my flights, hotels? They're like, don't worry about it. Company sorting it out. You just got to make sure you're on the plane. Yeah. And so after that, I was traveling around constantly for years, different countries, different cities. It was amazing. Yeah, get my flights, my expenses, accommodation, everything paid for, plus getting paid on top. Like it couldn't get any better.
How
And then,
interesting. And
yeah,
what you called an accident or a coincidence, I call a divine appointment.
there you go. You know, things do happen for a reason,
Yes.
right? And I do believe all the good and the bad things that happen in life is because it's directing you in a different path. At the time when it happens to you, you don't realize it. It's not
Right.
until you reflect back and you're like, ah, that's why that happened,
Oh, yes, I
right?
agree.
And so, right. And so as I was traveling and, like I was in the peak of my career. And what the great thing about these events were is all business events. I was speaking to, connecting with, seeing people, experts, gurus that, are millionaires. They're teaching people about business and what they do and how they've done it. And I'm just there sitting there like a sponge and just soaking it all up. Right. And then, when you're on your peak, there's going to be a drop somewhere.
Oh,
And
yes.
that's when that happened. And in fact, it happened to me where you are right now in Costa Rica.
Really?
Yeah. And so I was asked to go to Costa Rica for maybe 3 to 4 months because the CEO opened up a resort. And that's where he has his mastermind events for his high ticket clients that have paid like $60,000 and up.
I
So I
see.
thought, yeah, I was like, amazing. So he was like, yeah, my apartment's being paid for, my food and drink is being paid for, my flights, everything. And I was like, why wouldn't I do this? Right. So I went down there, I thought, let me spend maybe a month down there, see if I like it. If I don't, I'll come back. If I do, then I'll stay and see how it goes. And I was there for 3 weeks and then the company went bust.
Really?
Yeah. And I was like, now I'm homeless.
Oh,
Because,
my. Oh, my.
yes, I'm now homeless. I have no food. I have no water. I've got no basic essentials that I need. I'm in a foreign country and I don't speak the language. So I was like, holy crap, what am I going to do? And I could have sat in a corner crying, pulling out my hair like most of the other team were. But I started laughing. I couldn't stop but laughing to myself. And everyone's looking at me like, what is wrong with you? And I was like, well, first of all, this was completely out of my control and I can't do nothing about it apart from figure out how I'm going to survive this now. And secondly, I was like, well, when you think about the Tony Robbins of the world, the Les Browns of the world, they were all homeless at one point and now they're millionaires. So to me, I was like, holy crap, I'm going to be a millionaire, right? That was my perspective. And so, but what I really worked out is that because I had that different perspective and I wasn't drowned in all that negative emotional frustration, overwhelm, I was able to get creative and think outside the box. So
Nice.
what I decided to do is like, well, because I've seen these gurus and experts on stage teaching about business, I know sales, I know events, I know marketing, I know all that good stuff. So I decided, because we were on the beach, it was a beachfront, decided to go to the different resorts, the businesses on the coast, and told them, I can help you bring in clients. Right? I can help you brand your business, get it online, get you noticed, bring clients in. But what I do need is shelter, food, and water. Right. And so as they all know, if they had a company, a consulting company, a coach, it would cost them thousands of dollars. And all I'm asking for is my basic needs is, kind of that's what I need right now. And so they jumped on it and they were like, yeah, sure. So I was doing that for a little while, raised the money and was able to get a flight back out to the UK. But I wouldn't have been able to do that if I was in my misery. Right? So being able to have a different perspective and think out of the box and getting creative was so essential for my survival. And every business owner, entrepreneur needs to realize this is what they need in order to build and scale up.
I get it. How brilliant. What a brilliant move. When I was in radio for many, many years, one of the advantages of me taking myself out of the studio as a disc jockey and going into sales was there was a certain amount of trade involved. So if I sold commercials to a place and we traded for products or services, so I could eat at a different restaurant every day if I wanted to, and it was all built into the advertising that I sold them. Of course, that could be very dangerous as well in terms of my weight. So you talk about the 5 main pillars of business: sales, marketing, finance, operations, and leadership. You remind me of my UK mentor that I connected with the John Maxwell team, which was a gentleman named Christian Simpson, who has been a great influence on he has a 5 pillars thing that he does. And I actually just got an email from Christian today. So that's really cool that you've developed that. And your bio says that you are unstoppable. And from the sound of it, you are.
So the reason why I decided to call my business Uncensored Society is because I realized that there's a gap in the industry. And the gap is that there's way too many coaches out there that are just way too nice. Give you a tap on the shoulder and tell you it's going to be okay. Guess what? It's not. It really isn't. And so the type of coaching I give is being very raw, real, and relentless. You got to be relentless in wanting to achieve your dreams. If you're not going to be relentless, don't bother, stick to your 9-to-5 job, right? And that sounds really harsh, but you got to be brutal. And so, I mean, there's been times where I've made clients cry. Right? It's going to happen. It's inevitable. If you're going to want me as your coach, you're going to cry at some point. It's not going to be crying because you're in fear, but it's going to be a crying because you've had a realization of where you've made the mistakes and gone wrong. But the minute you realize that, that's when you're able to change your habits and realize the ones that are serving you and the ones that are not.
That is what I call an aha moment for.
Exactly.
Yeah. Wow. Raw, real, and
relentless.
Relentless. I like that word. That'd be a great movie title too.
Right.
That's your next stop, right? So,
there you go.
Well, that is so wonderful. I am speaking with Kay Suthar in London today, and although it might be a little drizzly rain there, we're having a very sunshiny conversation about reality, raw, real, relentless, and reality check. Really,
there
right?
You go.
So I'm so glad that I connected with you, Kay. And as I mentioned to all of my people that I interview, I want to know specifically, how can I help you? And it looks like you've got the website you'd like me to share up on your screen, uncensoredsociety.com. Let me say that correctly. Is that right?
That is right. And in fact, if you're okay with it, I would love to offer your audience a free gift.
Absolutely. We love free stuff.
Awesome. So one of the things that I realized with my clients is, and with a lot of people, is that people keep telling me they don't have the time. They've got kids, they've got this, they've got it's one thing after another. They don't have the time to build, to scale their business.
Right.
However, I've got this mini program on my website. And again, the link is on the screen at the top there. And when you download this, you're going to get worksheets, you're going to get a video of me explaining, but it actually gets you to write down on pen and paper what your long-term goals are and what your short-term goals are. And then really go in depth and look at what you do on a daily basis. And what happens here, you get to see where you're actually spending your time, what your habits are. And what people have realized, especially in the recent time, they're spending 6 hours a day watching Netflix. And
Yikes.
well, that's
Not healthy. Dr. Dave here, not healthy.
and I mean, that's not going to serve you or your business at all. So when you realize what your habits are, you're then aware and able to change those habits to make sure that you're as successful as you can be. And that, I think, is the perfect place for people to start. So if you go ahead to my website and download this now, there'll be another realization, aha moments, like Dr. Dave says, and therefore you're able to make those changes.
Oh, that is outstanding. Thank you so much for
No
all of your insights. You know, it's ironic you talk about your police experience with stress. My son-in-law, who I'm so proud of, he served in the United States military as well as a police officer. And he actually took an early retirement because of PTSD, which is stress-based. And he just published a book on our United States Memorial Day on Monday on Amazon about the effects of PTSD, hoping to help veterans, police, first responder, people all over the world with this message of that there is hope and encouragement. But it's a tough road for sure. And it actually hit the Amazon #1 best book release on Monday, on Memorial Day. So we're really proud of him, really, with all of his struggles, writing this book. So I'm glad you shared that experience as well, because it's real, right? It's all real.
Yeah.
And so here's the next real thing. I ask everybody, what was your very first job ever when you were a child?
First job. Oh, so I think my very first job was when I was younger, and my dad had a business. And I was like, well, I want to make money, right? And I was like, you need to employ me, Dad. You know? And he was like, what? And I think I was about 13, 14. And I was like, yeah. I was like, well, you guys don't give me pocket money, so I need to make money somehow. So how about employing me? And he goes, how much do you want me to pay you? I was like, the same that you pay all your other staff. Why should it be any less or any more? Right?
I love it.
And so he was like, okay then. And I started kind of working weekends and like school holidays for him. And yeah, so that was my very, very first job. And then when I got paid, I was kind of like, is this it? And realized that actually, like, employees get paid peanuts.
Yes.
Right. And I was like, wait, hold on a minute. The taxman gets that much? Are you crazy?
Yes. Yes. That's why the Beatles wrote the song Taxman. George Harrison wrote Taxman. You're taxing this and you're taxing that. And thank you very much.
Yeah. And I was like, I don't like this person very much, this taxman. He keeps taking all my money. He's not doing anything. Right.
Yes. What a surprise. So how old were you approximately at that time, would you say?
At 13, 14.
Okay. Okay. And what kind of a business was your dad in?
In the fashion industry.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So that's the idea. You're trading time for dollars, out of which you're blessing the government of your country with half your money.
Yes. And so that's when I realized that, okay, yeah, this taxman is not my friend. And then I guess because I was an employee for different companies for many, many years. And so that just became the norm. I was like, God, the more you work, the more hours you put in, the best that you do and get pay raise and get promotions, the more this taxman takes. Right.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, no. And then I realized that actually, if you're a business owner, you're an entrepreneur, you pay a lot less tax. And I was like, oh, well, I like that idea.
Absolutely. I don't know if you're aware of a guy that actually used to be an American president. He was also a movie actor way back when, a long time ago, during World War II, when the government decided if you made more than $200,000, which at that time was a pretty good amount of money, that you're going to pay 90% taxes on anything over $200,000. So he was getting paid $100,000 per movie that he made, and he figured, why should I make 3 movies when the government's going to take 90% of the third movies? I'll just make 2 movies and stop.
Yeah.
And so that's what he did, and that's what happens when things get a little bit out of control. Just saying. So,
Yeah.
but that was not a political statement. Just to clear.
But what I worked out, what I did when I was employed, when I realized that the more hours I work and more overtime I do, that the taxman takes my money. So I went to the companies and I was like, right, I don't want the money, I want my time. Give me back the time that I put in, give it back to me. And realize that, you know what, I don't need that money. I don't need to give the taxman more of my money. Give me back my time. So that would equal it out. If I did 2 hours extra time, I'll get those 2 hours back. With regards to money, that wouldn't happen.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Kay Suthar, did I say that right?
Yes, you did.
This is my guest today, all the way from London. Thank you so much for a wonderful interview today. So much information and help and practical stuff. So we want to be sure to promote uncensoredsociety.com. Get your free gift from Kay. Today would be good to go ahead and get that free gift. I'm Dave Henning with the Fresh Start Podcast, fresh ideas for business and personal growth. Kay, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me on your show. It's been amazing.